Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining today. I am Arsenio Otero. The last 2 years has been the COO of Celonis. Before that, I was 10 years at Salesforce, 6 years at Oracle, and 6 years at McKinsey. So, at Celonis, we are a high-growth company. We call it ourselves high-growth company. We have been growing 100% the last couple of years. We are more than 2,000 employees, and we have almost 3,000 customers. Number one, a market leader in the industry. And this is all that I am going to say about Celonis. Because today, our goal is to tell you how we are 100% year on year, and how we did a similar journey at Salesforce before. I am going to tell you and to share with you some tips, some learnings, and some tools about how to build a high-growth go-to-market strategy. In that case, I have prepared the speak or the session with you in 3 areas. Design the go-to-market, build their go-to-market organization, and finally, execute flawlessly. Because it's not just about design, it's about building that, getting the people, and it's about executing on that. First of all, let's go to the design piece, design the go-to-market. When we are approaching a design the go-to-market exercise, there are some premises that we need to have very clear. And that premise is what is the company revenue strategy. What I mean by revenue strategy, basically 3 things that will be condition all our go-to-market decision. Number one, what is the market opportunity? What is the problem that we are solving and the problem that we are addressing? Number 2, what is our product strategy? Are we single product? Are we multi-product? Is a platform? Is an app? Number 3, what is the pricing? These 3 elements are what they define our revenue strategy. With that, we are in a position to start talking about, okay, how we go to market to make that revenue strategy fits. With that in mind, 3 elements that I am going to touch with you. How we segment it, how we do the coverage model, and how we do the resource allocation. First of all, talking about segmentation. We need to really, the market will be as big as we want, but our resources are limited. So we need to find our sweet spots. And the first thing to find our sweet spot is to look into what is the potential impact, what is the size of the market, and what is our ability to capture. And we can have a situation in which we have super big markets, huge big market, but our ability to capture is very limited. Typical one in our segment is public sector US. Yeah, the market is huge. We know that they are investing lots of dollars. But the reality is we need to have certain requirements on security, on IT, on certification. So maybe our ability to capture is not yet there. So the first thing in any segmentation is what is our sweet spot, especially when we are in a hyper-growth engagement. We really need to focus our resources, high impact, high ability to capture. And I will say it's super important to do that. Because of course there are opportunities in Asia. Of course there are opportunities in many markets. But we need to focus. And focus is key. What is our sweet spot? When we have clear what is our sweet spot, the second piece of segmentation is how we slice and dice that piece. And for slicing and dicing, from my experience, there is always 4 elements that are critical to do that. Number 1, geography. And that means how important it is to be close to the customers. Number 2, company size. It's not the same the large company that the mid or the small companies. We will go differently. We will have different speeds and different needs. Number 3, industry. How important is that we talk and speak the industry language versus horizontal use cases, horizontal value proposition? And number 4, solutions. Solutions. Are we having a single product? Are we having multi-solution? Is the solution complex enough that you need a specific target for that? And this is the 4 elements for slicing and dicing. And the exercise of segmentation is to arrange the order of them. Depending on all the elements that we were talking before, you might decide, wow, we have being close to our customers is the most important. So for me, geography is the first one, North America and EMEA, or you can say UK and France, country-based. And then the next important thing is industry, is company size, small, medium, large companies. And then, oh, no. For us, the most important is industry. We need to talk industry, and we have financial services, public sector, and then we go geographies or we go size. So these 4 elements, what will make your segmentation is how you arrange them. And then is another element, which is the scale. Because depending on the scale, you will go to the 4th, to the 3rd, or to the 2nd. Let's put an example. Many companies will say, okay, I have my North America team, my EMEA team, and inside EMEA I have, in this order, company size, my large account team and my medium account team. I don't even have time to go beyond that. You can say, no, I have EMEA team, and then I have the country teams, and below then, in some countries, I will have different sizes or different industries. So the first exercise and the first learning is how we segmented the market, where we put the focus, and what are the dimensions, and the order of that when we are doing segmentation. I will tell you, many of you know Salesforce or Celonis. We are having the same example. We segmented geography number 1. So we have the Spain team, the Italy team, the UK team. Inside them, in some of them, when we have scales, we have large accounts and mid accounts. And when we have a scale, in the large accounts, we may have financial services, public sector, retail, and CPG. Other companies will say, no, I have my sales, my solution A team and solution B team. And inside that, I have my different industries. So this is the exercise of segmentation, which is the first thing to define a go-to-market. My target account and how I segmented that. Second piece is what is the coverage model. And when I think coverage model, it's very important that we think the full coverage model. So we are at the design phase. So we need to understand how will be a full coverage model end-to-end for the customer life cycle, meaning demand generation, sales, and post-sales. And it's full do not mean that we are going to apply always, but in an ideal scenario, how we will do it. Demand generation, what we will do in marketing, what are we going to have BDR and SRs? Are we not going to have? Then sales cycle, inside sales, account executive, sales specialist, SEs, strategic account advisor team, or business value team. And then the post-sale, support, professional services, value or customer success managers. This is the full model that you can think about that. And it is end-to-end. Think holistically. And now is the next challenge. So if we have segmented, if we have think, wow, what is the ideal coverage model? Resources are not limited, are not illimited, so are limited. We need to do a smart allocation of our resources. This means that we are not going to apply the full coverage model to everyone. Let's take the example that you have here. We are using a segmentation based on the different type of accounts, strategic, medium, and small business account. When you are thinking on a strategic account, you may consider, I will go full. I will go with the whole enchilada. Why? Because you need that account is complex. You know that the price is big. So yes, I can put a lot of resources because I know that in that large accounts, I can get a big price. But if you go to the other extreme, you know, wow, I don't need one AE or one account executive to cover this account. One account executive in the mid-market can cover 100,000 of accounts. The complexity is very small. At the end, you go very direct in very use cases, but the price is smaller. So that is the other piece. When we have defined or go-to-market scenario, we do the segmentation, we see what is the best potential coverage model, next thing is how we allocate the resources. This is the design of a go-to-market exercise. And this is the 3 elements that I will always invite people to think about that. When we have designed the go-to-market, it's the time to start building and building that go-to-market organization. For us, the first thing that we need to do is hire people. But we need to hire people for the time of the company that we are, which is not an easy thing to do it. Because when you are in a hyper-growth scenario, you are hiring people for tomorrow. For delivering today is your current team. It's the people that you already have it on the seat. It's what they are going to deliver today. The people of tomorrow is what you are hiring today. So I always say, it's not looking about 12 months ahead, it's looking 18 months ahead. What I am going to need 18 months ahead. If I need people to deliver my number today, I am not going to deliver the number today. That is one of the elements that is always in the hiring process, looking ahead of what we are. And then hiring the people for the stage in which we are. Not everyone is valid for a hyper-growth stage. You need the people, and you need very clear in the organization what is your criteria to hire. Are people that are in a hyper-growth scenario, you will need to be really on a position that you need to deal with uncertainty. You need to know that change is constant. It could be much more frustration. Every deal is a win deal. It's a battle that you need to win it in a hyper-growth scenario. There is no install base. There is no portfolio that you can manage. So you need to hire the right people for this. And it's very important to have the criteria, because the hiring target used to be high. That makes the temptation of lowering the bar, which is something that you cannot afford. So hiring strategically for this phase is very, very important. Secondly, take care of the hiring process. Take care of the hiring process. This is the first time, and it will be the real first experience of the candidates with your company. It's super important that we have a perfect hiring process, from the sourcing to the interview to the offering. It cannot be that a manager do an interview and 10 days after they give feedback, the candidate waiting for it, or that getting an offer approval, it takes 10 rerouting in a month. This is the experience. This is the first time experience for the candidate, and this is what they are assessing you in this process. It's super important. We really try to nail the process for 2 reasons. The candidate experience is the company image, is the first brand, but it's also for the volume, because you need to get the volume. And this process needs to work the same for an account executive that for an engineer in the company. And this is very, very important. So, and it's not the responsibility of the recruitment team. It's responsibility of the hiring manager. And we try to put always the hiring manager at the core of the hiring process, being the responsible of holding the bar. And there is another element in a hypergrowth when you are building an organization, which is the onboarding. What we are seeing many times is that the ramp-up time of anyone, it will range between 6 months if you are in the low end of the market to 12 months if you are in the high end on the market. So the onboarding is super important. Every week, every month that you are able to reduce is critical. Is critical for the business. So something that we have seen that works well for us has been focus on 30, 60, 90, and 120 days, with clear KPIs to be achieved in each of them. And it's not the enablement organization to do this, because in most of our companies, enablement is very limited, very small team. It's about putting the hiring manager on the center. Putting the manager on the center, but provide the manager with a framework. With a framework to do the onboarding in an efficient way. Because most of the onboarding will happen on the job. but it needs to happen on a programmatic way. It's not like you don't want an AE that has joined the company to go tomorrow to visit a customer. Because yes, the customer maybe has a prior relationship and will accept the meeting, but the meeting will not be as beneficial as you want. So you want that meeting happen at the right time, when the person is the right skilled. And that time should be the fastest possible. So that is what this process is so important and so critical to really build up the organization and elaborate ourselves. And it's very important to keep in mind that the onboarding and the ramping is happening on the job. On the job is where we will see most of this exercise. So let me go back to the summary of where we are, because I think that in this exercise that we are doing of building a go-to-market, we find accounts, we segmented accounts, we define the coverage model, and we allocate the resources. Now we build the organization, hiring the people that we need for now with a clear criteria, clear approach. We know that we run a very good processes inside it, and we focus on onboarding, because now that we have hired the people, we need to bring them into value, into action, and get it with that. That is perfect, but now we need to get it done, and we need to execute. And if something happens in a hyper-growth environment, is that we are managing like a dual speed. Because it's super important to deliver every day, every month, every quarter, every year. But at the same time, most of our decisions are not making for today or for tomorrow, are making for the future. And that is what makes super important for a go-to-market to be successful, to have the execution piece. Because we will be all the time in this duality, thinking on, we need to get this done, we need to deliver, this number needs to happen, this customer satisfaction. At the same time, the decisions are for the future, as we were talking about hiring people from the future, bringing them into our equation. So let's talk about execution. I will be a bit slow here, because I think that is one of the areas that I discovered that you can do design and build perfect, but here is the key. We really need to be able to execute and deliver properly. The first thing that I would like to tell is we need to think on execution holistically. It's not about how I execute my sales, the sales process, or how I execute the customer success. It's looking to the whole process itself, from demand generation to sales to customer success. Even you can see this as a cycle. On demand generation, there are 3 pieces that I would like to touch with you today. Number 1 is about thinking on the funnel. Many times we are building our brand, we are building our capabilities. So it's about the top of the funnel. We need to have a strategy for the top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel. And the strategy needs to be simple, but we need to be conscious that we are hitting, this is for the top, this is for the middle, this is for the bottom of the funnel. Number 2, digital. Everything that we do needs to have a digital touch. No, but I am doing a physical event, yes, but it has a digital touch. Everything has a digital touch. So having a clear digital marketing strategy is fundamental. I can tell you, for us, the first thing that we did was building a digital team. Digital team that we have, you don't need to have the digital team in the best location, more expensive in the world. You just need the good digital skills. In our case, we have a digital team in Madrid. Fundamental. And finally, repeatable plays. This is something that we cannot go case-by-case scenarios. It's not scalable at this stage. It's not hyper-growth. You can make case-by-case maybe a 20 million euro or dollars deal. Perfect, but it's not repeatable. We need repeatable plays. What are the 2, 3, 4 entry plays that we are going to use it? Because the entry plays, you can repeat it. It's like a machine. And you can organize your demand generation, your action, your communication about that entry place. Very very concrete actions on the demand generation. Think on the funnel. Digital is a must, is not an option, and repeatable place. And then we move it into the sales process, the day-to-day. What most of us feel more comfortable about different stages, how we progress a deal, from the demo to the value selling and so on. Here, for a high-performance organization, KPIs are super important. You need to have very clear what is your 5, 6 KPIs. Oh no, how much pipeline? How much ACV? Yes, but this is super executive KPIs. When we are in the day-to-day, in the trenches, we need to go a bit more deeper than the overall pipeline and overall ACV. We need that KPIs that makes the difference. And then you start talking about win rates, conversion rates. You will start talking about lead to cost time, age of the opportunities. We need to go from the executive KPIs to the business KPIs to the operational KPIs on the sales processes, because it's the only way that we will be able to manage that. Then, qualification. From my learning, one of the biggest errors is that at the beginning, when we are approaching greenfield markets, everything looks like an opportunity. The temptation is to keep investing in any opportunity. We hear always good things, and we believe that there is an opportunity. We need to be tough ourselves with the qualification. Is this a real opportunity or not? They are going to have money or not? Are they going to have a pain to solve it or not? Qualification is super important because we don't have time and resources to waste in the wrong places. And I know that the temptation is, no, give me another demo, give me another thing. No, we need to be tough on this. It's one of the key elements. Honestly, I told you, qualification is one of the toughest pieces on the sales processes. Compensation. What is our goal? We need to have a compensation prepared to define what we are trying to achieve here. It's about getting new logos, landing new logos. It's about ACV. It's about customer success, how we are going to get this done. So for me, when we are on the sales process, the 3 key learnings that I will share with you is, don't get your KPIs at the super high level. You need to have your operational KPIs very clear. Go strong on qualification. Really force a proper qualification. And your compensation structure needs to be aligned with your objective. I know it's easy to say, but if you just go to a compensation on new logos, you will get 5K deals, even in the largest accounts of all. And finally, the last piece of the journey. When we land the customer, we need to get them value. Many times, we are all following seed and growth strategy. So we just want to land, prove it, and expand. It was like 20 years ago, it was what Oracle was saying, the wedge factor, no? I have my entry place, I landed, and then I open. So I think that we are all on that. But now, the times are smaller. So we don't have another year to expand. We need to really be on hands, on focus with the customers and with our partners. So obsession on the delivery. I have seen more and more plans for the sales teams that include a part on the delivery, that include a part on the hand-on, on the sales to the customer success organization. Because we know that land is one exercise, but expanding is where the value will come after that. So keep that in mind. And then, what is our adoption metrics? Is consumption? Is number of users? Is value realized? This is another key element that we need to have clear. So, for me, execution, we need to look at holistically, very few pieces, but very clear what we can achieve in each of them and how we can impact each of them. All of that is very important that we use data in this process, because we have very few of us and we need to do it very smart. There is an element on execution that is very, very important, which is the governance model. We need to run a tight ship here with rigor and operational cadence. For me, a governance model needs to tell everyone in the organization what will happen weekly, what will happen monthly, what will happen quarterly, biannual, and annual. No surprises. If you have your weekly forecast call, no one can catch under surprise. It's weekly. If we have the monthly review or the monthly budget control, no one can be surprised. We are doing our annual kickoff. We are doing our annual events. So it's very important that everybody knows what is your governance model and you run it tight. And that governance model, we need to define what is execution, what is pure forecast, what is roadmap of the deals, what is the opportunities. We need to talk about the planning. The planning is a different work. We review our planning, we do budget control, we do strategic meetings. Separately, you need to split planning and execution. It's always the same. What happens when we do, no, I will do pipeline review. That become a forecast call. Because we ended up talking about the, so we need to split. Are we going to have a strategy session? Yes. But if it's a strategy session, we are not going to talk about the numbers of this quarter. We are going to talk about the strategy. And that is very important, that is very clear. Also, what are the leadership performance and the communication? So for me, running a tight governance model is critical. It's one of the key success factors, because you will, what you want to drive here, control and rigor. But all of this execution will not be possible. Will not be possible if we don't have the process and tools. And this is a reality. You cannot scale and get hyper growth in a spreadsheet. It's not possible. We need to look the process and tool. And the process and tool need to help us to get into the execution. It's the back end of the execution. And usually, I used to say that this is the lead to cash process. And we need to understand what are the different processes that we are going to touch, and what is the technology that we are using on that. And let me share with you, this is an example of what we have it, but for me, the key learning here is our tools and processes are around the customer. Are around the customer. I can tell you, there is a lot of companies that build their tools and process around themselves. It's around the customer. At the end, this is one of the most important pieces. We build all these processes and everything around the customer. And then it needs to be a system that allows us to really execute and get the data in real time. Because we are getting all this information. We are getting all this action. And this is fundamental. And then this process needs to help and not destroy value. And this is something that is happening in many places, that people feel frustrated because, oh, another tool, another new thing, another. And this is because they are not adding value. And this is where I think that, and I will touch again on Celonis, but this is, I am telling you, we are drinking our own champagne here. So basically, we are seeing the 360 of the product, of the process itself, finding the issues that we have it, and action it. But I came back. The process that we paint like this, it can be helping or it can be destroying value. And when we build this in all of our companies, we build it with the best intention. But then there are people using. So it's super important that we really get clarity on how we are using it to add the value. So I am getting into the end, and I will be open for questions and anything that you needed. But hypergrowth, from my learning, is design the go-to-market model, and we talk about sweet spots and dimension of segmentation, establishing the coverage model, and maximize the resource allocation. Then we build the organization, and we talk about hiring ahead and hiring the right people, streamline the processes, and onboarding. And now execution. And execution is looking holistically, is having a governance and having the right processes in place and the right tools. And this is not easy. We are all in this hypergrowth. We are all in this. We know it's not easy. We know that we are in a very, very challenging scenario. We are building a market. We are trying to land customer. We are trying to bring people with us. This is not easy. That is what, when I was thinking on this, there is a 10th element that for me is super important. It's not just this 9 learning, it's that we need to have fun. And we need to have fun in this journey. And that is, because it's not easy, it's a challenge. It's not easy. If it will be easy, everybody will be growing 100% year on year. That is the reality. And we tell people, no, it's not easy, let's try to have fun and enjoy every moment of the journey. Because in every moment of the journey, we are going to find something interesting, a learning opportunity. But at the same time, we need to be conscious that change will be the key element. Change is constant. Because if there is something that I will tell you, in a hyper-growth environment, if you need to do something, you do immediately. Procrastination is not a work. So we cannot, if we know that something needs to be changed, we change it. You cannot procrastinate. And then I just want to finish with 3 messages that I always say to all my teams every day, and I remember to myself. Number 1, happy customers pay your salaries. So it's not the company, it's the customers, the one that pay our salaries. And I hammer my teams with that because I truly believe that sometimes we risk to forget it. And this is fundamental. Second, think scalability. And I came back with these 2 dimensions that I was telling you. Because sometimes we try to get too much into the day-to-day, into delivering the year, delivering the month, delivering the quarter, that we forgot about the scalability. So every activity that we do, think about, is this scalable? Is not scalable. Should I do it? Should I not do it? What is the element? What is the capability? And in this, we are not alone. If I know something about the hyper-growth environment, is that this is not a hero space. It's about the team. Because the hero will not do a sustainable growth. The hero can do one-time thing, but it will never be sustainable. It will never be scalable. So that was what I want to share. It's based on my experience. Hope that any of the lesson, any of the tactics, any of the things can help you. More than happy to talk with you, to give you any advice. So thank you very much. I will tell you, the company has less than 1,000 employees, and they were less than 100 on revenue. And today, we have grown 100%. So I think that many of these things, you need to adjust it. So you will need process, you will need tools, you will need a governance. The governance will not be the same for 10,000 company that for 2,000 company, but you need a governance everybody needs to know. So I think that all these pieces, for me, can be used in a 20 million company revenue to a billion company revenue, 6 billion, 10 billion.
So you think, for example, a company that has around 100 employees can also build the whole holistic process, maybe just in a smaller size, all the parts.
Exactly. So maybe your governance is very simple. It's only, you don't have weekly, monthly, quarterly. You have monthly, quarterly, and you don't have all the elements. But you need to have a governance. You need to run this rigor. You need to think what is your coverage model. Maybe it's much more simple, but you need to think in mind what is your coverage model. I will invite anyone to use this. It has been working with me. When I advise other people, we have been using very similar things.
Also in smaller, okay,
yeah.
Thanks.
Hi, I know you mentioned the public sector. Can you talk about how that kind of changes your approach, or does it just change the ramp time, the sales process in any way?
This is a very good question. So at the beginning, I clearly see that public sector, for us, was a big market, that the improving process, improving execution is all over the place. But then what implies? That it's implied you need to be FedRAMP certified, you need certain security, certain pieces. So our ability to capture was not there. 2 years later, this year, I am building a team for that. I am getting the process of certification kick off, but it's at the right time. So I am moving that into my sweet spot, but I need to use my resources. So this is the perfect example that if you know your segmentation, if you know your market, you will be able to really pivot the different elements. So not 2 years ago, we are now in that process to jump into that market.